Why, hello there. Long time no see. It has been so long since I sat here. I don't even know if the setup is the same. Camera angle's probably different. Wasn't ever really consistent though. I think the mic is working. We'll see. So, hi. You may have realized that I disappeared for a little bit. I decided to take December off for some personal reasons. If you're following me on Instagram, you might have seen more about that. If you're interested, you can go check it out there. So I decided to take December off, and now it's 2021. We are leaving the dumpster fire of 2020 behind us, and I thought, what better way to start off the new year with talking about the books I want to read during this new year. So we are going to have a very laid back, chill TBR today about books that I want to get to at some point during this year. If I don't get to them, I'm not going to be heartbroken. It's just like the books I plan to read, but I also change my mind a lot. So will I actually read them? We'll see. So I put the books into different categories, and the first category is Star Wars, because Star Wars. So the first book that I really, really want to get to, like definitely want to get to soon, is Queen's Peril by E.K. Johnston, and I have a physical copy, but it is like buried under my Funko Pops right now, and I didn't want to disturb them. Anyway, so Queen's Peril is a sequel/prequel to Queen's Shadow. It is about Padme while she's still queen, and I really liked Queen's Shadow, and I liked learning about her handmaids, Sabe, and all the rest of them. They all have they've all taken names that sound like Padme. It's really sweet, and I don't know, it's like an all-female cast, and I like learning about their dynamics and like the codes that they have for when she's queen and how they solve problems and do her makeup and take care of her and all these different things. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, and the other Star Wars books I'm really looking forward to, this one is not new, but it's from a certain point of view. I have been putting this off for a long time. It's a book of short stories. A lot of these authors that have written these short stories are authors that you recognize from other pretty popular books, and I have a physical copy of this, and I also have it on ebook, so I definitely need to read it, especially since for Christmas my dear in-laws also got me the sequel, if you can call it a sequel because it's still short stories, but it's the Empire Strikes Back edition with short stories as well. So I really want to read both of these. I am especially excited to read this one because Hank Green wrote one of the short stories, and I love him. So yeah, I guess I could probably read them out of order, but I want to read them in order. So yeah, super excited for these. There are so many other Star Wars books I want to read in 2021. I'm like going all in on Star Wars these days, but I especially want to read the Thrawn trilogy, and I own the first two. I loved Thrawn's character in Rebels. I'm very fond of him in a few different ways. And I think that based on what we learned in The Mandalorian, I think he's probably going to come back during the Ahsoka series. So I want to catch up on my Thrawn knowledge before that series comes out. Okay, the next category are epics that frighten me, but that a lot of people have read, and I feel like I'm not a true reader until I have read these. So the first one is His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, and this is actually a children's trilogy. This is a binding of all three of them. Similar to the Chronicles of Narnia, but as I understand it, like more secular, which sounds pretty cool. And there is a series on HBO right now, an adaptation on HBO right now. I don't have HBO, so I haven't been able to watch it, but it looks really cool. And I have tried to read The Golden Compass at least 3 different times, but I've never been able to get past like the first chapter where she's like hiding in a closet and these men are just like talking boring, like exposition. But in the past, I've tried it on audio, and I think I just need to like dive into the physical copy. And with like the polar bears on the cover, this seems like a very good winter read, so I kind of want to get to this while it's still winter. Even though I live in Alabama and it does not seem like winter. It like just started seeming like fall here. But anyway, I can dream. Maybe this will bring the winter spirit to my home. The next one I have talked about before. I wanted to get to this year, but it didn't happen. The Lord of the Rings. I would really like to at least read The Fellowship this year. It's one that I put up a mental block when I was younger and thought that it would be too hard for me to get into. And so I kind of like didn't read it during the time when I would have really enjoyed it, because I love the movies and I love learning more about like the lore and diving into the depths of this world. So I know I will like it. I think I probably would have liked it a lot more like a decade ago. But I have to read it, right? I just have to do it. So I'm planning to do this 2021. And then the last one, some of you will be very happy to know it's on this list. Dune. I know, I have to read Dune. It's like the sci-fi classic. The movie's coming out. It's a big deal, and I know that I just have to do it. So I put it on this list. It is huge, and like the font is not big. Actually, it's okay. It's a little bigger than I thought it was. So, but the audiobook is like 20 hours long. It's a big audiobook. So, put it on this list. It still scares me to think about diving into this. I think I will be very confused. I know very little about the story. I've never seen any of the movies. I would kind of like to read it before the Timothy Chalamet adaptation comes out, though. So, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll do like a buddy read so that some of you can read it with me and we can like go through the agonizing long story together. The next category are just books I keep putting off that I have really wanted to read for a long time, and for one reason or another, I just haven't yet. So the first one is We Are the Ants by Shaun David Hutchinson. I have heard very good things about this book, and I think that there are aliens involved, so it might be a sci-fi, but it's also like emotional and maybe introspective. I don't really know much about the plot. I just know that from the things I've heard from reviewers that I trust, I think I will like this book. So, I've had it on my shelf for years upon years, and I think it is time to finally get to it. So, along those same lines, next up is Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. This book is unique because it's kind of about NaNoWriMo, and so you have two storylines, and one is the girl writing her novel, and the other is the actual novel, I think. This is what I think. I have not read any of the books on this list, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. And so that's why it's so big, because there's really like two stories in one. And like, it's about NaNoWriMo, so I will love this. Like, I know I'll love it. I like any book about people writing books, really. So it's been on my shelf for years. I haven't read it yet because it's so big. Big books intimidate me. But this will be the year. Maybe, hopefully. And then we have Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Did I get that right? I don't have a physical copy, but I have the audiobook, so I want to listen to this audiobook at some time in 2021. And the same for the Starless Sea. I have the audiobook of this. I have heard that the Starless Sea, while very beautiful, and it's by the same author as The Night Circus, it can be kind of confusing. And I also listened to The Night Circus on audio and found that while I loved it, it was a little confusing in that format. So maybe I don't know. I'm going to try to listen to it, and if it isn't going well, then I'll get a physical copy and try it that way, because I love The Night Circus, and I know that this is a very different story, and I want to give it a shot. I think that if I'm open to it, I'm going to really like it. The next category, we have graphic novels. Starting off with the Avatar graphic novels. This is the combination of the Lost Adventures and Team Avatar tales. It just came out in this binding like a month ago, and I love this artwork so much. I wish I could have like a poster of this on my wall. There's also Ruins of the Empire is a Legend of Korra binding that I have not gotten to yet, although I do have it on my shelf. And there's also a kind of like trilogy of standalone female comics coming out. So they have one about Katara and Toph, and the next one is about Suki, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I assume that they're going to bind them together in a copy like this, so when that comes out, I will also read that. And then we have Monstrous, but I'm 2 volumes behind, so this is volume 5, but I don't think I've read 4 yet, so I really need to read 4 and 5. The Monstrous comic series, in my opinion, is a little bit more style over substance. You have all of these different like races, like you have humans, and then you have animals, and you have like some hybrids, and then you have like the old gods, and it gets kind of confusing. You also have cats. Cats are their own race, which I think is kind of endearing. But yeah, it is confusing. Every time I read the next volume, I get more and more confused. But in my opinion, it's totally worth it because the art is so beautiful that I don't really even care at this point that I can't really follow the plot, because it's just so pretty that I will continue reading it. And then I want to start Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I have read a few of her books, and I kind of have mixed feelings about them, but people love this one. It is a romance between 2 boys. Are they in high school? I think they're in high school. And apparently it's really cute. Sounds really cute. People love this series, so want to give this a go. And then there are a lot of other like traditional graphic novels that I want to get to, such as Persepolis. Lots of graphic novels that I have had on my shelf forever and really want to read. So I think my goal this year might be to read at least 1 graphic novel a month, and then I think I'll be able to get through all of the ones I want to if I keep that up. So that's going to be the goal, 1 a month. So speed round, some books that came out in 2020 that I didn't get to, although I would like to say I did a lot better at reading new releases this year than I normally do, but there are several I didn't get to. The first one is Ready Player 2, which I just downloaded the audiobook from my library, so hopefully, maybe I'll actually be able to read this before 2021 starts, because I'm filming this a little bit ahead of schedule, so we'll see. This is the sequel to Ready Player 1. Ready Player 1 was kind of written as a standalone, and it works as a standalone, so I'm hesitant to jump into the sequel, but I'm trying to do it with an open mind because I did really enjoy Ready Player 1, and it's been several years since I've read it, so I don't know, it might be fun to revisit this world. Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I love all of her books that I've read, so this one came out this year. Super looking forward to getting to it. I don't really remember much about what it's about, but her books are always kind of, they're often hard to explain what they're about. Goldilocks, which is about a group of women who steal a spaceship because the Earth is dying and they want to go find a new planet that people can inhabit. So they are set to have a mission, and then their mission gets scrapped, so then they just like steal a ship and go. And then while they're on the ship, things start to go awry. So that's all I really know about it, but it sounds super, super intriguing. The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. She wrote Station 11, which I read this year, and I ended up really liking it, and I know a lot of people also like this book, so I wasn't able to get to it this year because I kept putting off buying the ebook, and then I got like a credit and finally bought it, so it's sitting on my Kindle. And The Midnight Library, which, as I understand it, a girl is trapped in a library and she reads these books during the night, and each book has like a different path of her life had she made like a different decision. She gets to like read the different versions of her life, and that sounds like super amazing. So I placed a hold on the ebook with my library, but it's like still a month out. So I will read it when I get to it. I don't normally request ebooks through my library though, because there is a 2-week turnaround, and normally I cannot get through a book in 2 weeks. Yeah, because I am a painfully slow reader. But maybe if it's a really good book, I can. Like, I can just sit down and say, okay, we're going to do this weekend. But what will most likely happen is I will get the ebook. I will read like 25% of it, maybe half. And if I like it, then I'll probably buy the ebook and finish it. So, last category is 2021 releases. And admittedly, I don't have that many in this category because I don't really keep up with new releases. I tend to like listen to reviews of new releases and then decide if I want to read them. So very rarely do I decide beforehand. But John Green is coming out with a book version of his podcast, I cannot say this word. I'm so sorry. The Anthropocene Reviewed. That's probably the best take we're going to get. So keep that one. And I love that podcast. He does a great job. They're like essays about different facets of the human experience is how he sells it. So he'll talk about like Dr. Pepper or geese or grass or medicine. I don't know. Just all these different things, and tell stories about them. And they're always so fascinating. Even the topics about the most mundane things, he is able to find like a really fascinating story. So I am really looking forward to this book, and it like comes out on my birthday. So happy birthday to me. The next one I didn't even know was a thing, but Becky Chambers is coming out with another installment on her Wayfarers series, which I did not know there was going to be a 4th book, and I'm like, it's my most anticipated book of 2021. It's called The Galaxy and the Ground Within, and I loved Becky Chambers before this year, but I really, really, really fell in love with her writing this year. I reread A Closed and Common Orbit, and it has now become one of my favorite books of all time. And I just finished reading her novella, To Be Taught If Fortunate, and I also just really loved it. So even though I wasn't quite into the 3rd installment of this series, I am really looking forward to this one. The last book on my radar is Clara and the Sun. I'm not going to pronounce this right, by Kazuo Ishiguro. He is the one who wrote Never Let Me Go, which is my favorite book of all time. And I've read that in The Remains of the Day. I really loved both of them, but I haven't read any of his other books. And this one's coming out 2021, and it sounds pretty cool from what I remember, which at this point is not a lot, but I thought it sounded cool enough to add it to my list. So, okay, so thanks for sticking with me this long. I'm sure that this video was a hot mess. I don't know what's going to be kept and thrown out, but thank you for returning to this crazy little book channel on YouTube. Really appreciate it. I'm hoping to post consistently in 2021, but I do this channel for fun, and so sometimes things happen and I have to take a break. Thanks for being so supportive during that break I took in December. I think it was really helpful to me, and I was able to return on my own terms and do so genuinely and not have to feel like I was fighting to put on a smile that wasn't going to be a genuine smile. So anyway, tell me which of these books you are most excited for, which ones I should definitely read first, and what your most anticipated read for 2021 is. I should probably say it is a new year. I'm always bad at saying this, but if you feel so inclined, please like this video, subscribe, tell your friends. It really helps me out. Okay, bye. Am I still recording? Okay. Can you see you can't see my feet, right? Okay. By the way, that was probably loud. By the way, I got this Ahsoka Tano shirt for Christmas from my in-laws, and I love it. I never want to wear anything else again, except there's also a long sleeve version, so I might get that one too and just like rotate, and that's all you'll ever see me wear. I don't know, I could dream. We can turn this into a little competition if you want, and in the comments, tell me how many of these books you think I will actually read, and then a year from now we can revisit. Will I remember to do this a year from now? Alright, I guess we should probably get to the books because this is supposed to be a book channel. Gotta bring up my list, because I did write a list this time. Handmaidens. What are they called? See, now I'm getting confused with The Handmaid's Tale, and they're definitely not like that. I am blanking, so I'm just gonna call them handmaids. That might not be the right term, and I feel like such a Star Wars failed fan. New year, new me, except old me. I can't talk. There's a guy outside my window walking a dog, so I hope he doesn't look in here. And so I kind of want to catch up on my Thrawn. Sorry, that was probably loud. My mom is texting me. It's Christmas and they know I'm alone, and so everyone's like, Emily's alone. Let's make sure she's not alone, which is very sweet, but like I'm always alone. I guess I'm not always alone. My husband is normally here, despite what people might think, because he's never like seen. Okay, books I keep putting off. Every book. Such a procrastinator. Why do I even have a book channel? I never actually read. I just talk about reading. Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. That was a lot of R's. Let's try that again. And if it isn't going well, then I might get a physical. I said that very weird. My camera's gonna die here in a second. Well, not die, but it's gonna stop recording here in a second. Oh my gosh, you're so heavy. I need to do more arm muscles just so I can hold up graphic novels, which I'm sorry, this might be kind of reflective because I haven't taken the coating off of it. Coating, that's not the right word. And I have it on hold. Whew. Breathe, Emily, breathe. Breathe, swallow, talk. Breathe, swallow, talk. Kazuo. I forget how to pronounce it, which is bad because I'm studying Japanese. Tell me which of these books. What's a good question? I'm a mess.